And I am live talking about movies once again. I ended up watching Fallout Season 2, and this specific stream, we should call it, is all about the first three episodes. I know episode 4 just came out this week. I did watch it. However, this is for the next stream about Fallout that we will be really talking about episode 4. So as of today, we focus on the first three episodes. Now, just before we really dive deep into season 2, I gotta say, I really loved season 1. That was an amazing TV show in the first season, and I do think season 2 feels like a small downgrade. It's still very good. So let's get into it. Let's start with the first episode. The first episode was very fun. It sets up very well the rest of the season. So let's really dive deep into that first episode. I will just timestamp right now the way to do it. So yeah, this first episode picks up where we left off season 1. It makes sense, right? It's the sequel, it's the follow-up. So let's get into the first episode. Um, I will say that this first episode was a banger. I had no issues whatsoever with it. But again, I will reiterate what I said. I feel like it's a small downgrade from the first season. So let's get into the likes and the teams. What happens in this first episode? So I thought it was well shown how people revolted in the past. The guy losing his dad was very sad. Cool action with great music, nice humor, cool scene with homeless mother. The prisoner rewind. The prisoner creating chaos was kind of cool. Genetics being an issue was kind of hilarious because like they do it with cousins, and the humor is really on point. I thought that was very good humor. That's really following up in a wonderful way this first season. And I also will say this: there's a nice contrast between both leads. One lost hope, the other still has hope. So I refer to Ella Pernod character and the ghoul like character. I still don't really remember their name well, but I kind of know their characteristic as characters. That's kind of funny. And that's also a meme with me. I can't remember the name names. But I think we should really shake up things with these two characters with season 2. As of right now, I like how they started it, and hopefully they will have great payoff and great growth for these characters, because it's more of the same with Ella Purnell. But again, it's the start of the season and they need to set up something. Last season was about her like going to the surface and realizing, oh, it's not what she was told it was, and it's very different, and she is very adventurous, which is very interesting. So now let's go back to the first episode of this second season. I think there was a very nice conspiracy to drop bomb to control people, but again, that's a follow up from season 1. The school ed guy being ungrateful was very funny. Team of Greed, a team of all about votes when they were talking about popular groups and unpopular groups in the vault. And we can see the vault. I will admit the vault is the weakest storyline, but is it so good? I think it's good, but I'd rather see them on the surface shooting down creatures and monsters. So this first episode for me, long story short, was a masterpiece, a great start. But again, I think when compared to what we had in season 1, it wasn't as good. Can still be great, but I mean, I was surprised with season one. I was shocked with season one. I was very excited about the next episode with season one, and I just don't feel that way with season two. I don't know why. I don't know how. But yeah, let's dive deep into the second episode. Again, this first episode was a 10 out of 10 because I do think it was a great start. This is how you should start a season. And now let's get into what happens next. What happens with the second episode? Is it a great episode? I think it is also a very good episode. So let's get into it. Um, I will start by mentioning I have no issues with this second episode. And I will also admit that I thought that was far better than the first episode. I think with this episode, we are on par with what we had in the first season. So I think as a follow up, the second episode is perfect. So let's get into the themes, the likes. Let's get into it. Interesting team of people ending up feeling empty power vacuum. Rewind. Funny freezer discovery scene criticizing how stupid of a concept it is to believe freezers protect from nuclear fallout. The guy still died like frozen. It's just kind of funny. Funny how Vault 33 lied to the frozen people to manipulate them. And yeah, let's really get into some of the likes I had. I thought the flashbacks were entertaining. We had cool action, more cool scene about the contrast between the fallen hero and the lead. Nice sound effect. The lead helping the girl over the fallen hero made sense. Nice humor. Nice series of experiment. The Volt 33 guy taking a leadership role was great. Funny how even the brightest minds can look stupid sometimes. More failed experiment were entertaining. The Brotherhood having fights was very entertaining. So we expand on the lore, and I feel like that season really expand a lot more on the Brotherhood. I think the Brotherhood are far more interesting than the Vault people. I'm sorry, but that's really all I feel. And I I just think the caricature of the Vault people it grew old, I think. And the caricature of the Brotherhood it still feels fresh because we didn't spend much time with them in season 1. So that's exactly what I think is going on. We spend so much time with the Vault that we are used to them, and just getting more of them doesn't change much because they don't really evolve. And that's the point of them. It's really to say that's how you condition people and they will remain the same. I think I would say the same if we spend as much time with the Brotherhood. I think I would get tired with them. But overall, again, I think the second episode with this amazing season, because I do think it's an amazing season, I think it still feels behind. Because the next two episodes are not as great. But yeah, this second episode is a solid 10 out of 10 for me. Sometimes it happens, you know. Anyway, either I was muting me or I was hiding the camera, and I feel like sneezing in the microphone wasn't great. Anyway, episode 2, great episode, great follow-up, 10 out of 10. With that being said, let's get into the third episode. I will try to really ram through it because we may have a guest very soon, being the dragon. So yeah, the third episode was the weakest we will be reviewing today. And the fourth one, well, the fourth one is the fourth one, and it is for the next time we cover Fallout. We will cover Fallout episode 4, 5, 6 once episode 6 drops. I don't plan on covering every week Fallout because, let's be honest, I think that's the kind of stuff you want to binge watch. That's why we do several different reviews. So let's get into the third episode and the last episode we are covering today, even if we got the fourth episode just 2 days ago or so. So this third episode was a letdown for me. It was a letdown for me because I started having issues with the episode, and I'm still very optimistic toward the rest of the season. But let's get into episode 3. We will start with the issue I had with episode 3. Some of the diversity woke dialogue was a bit off-putting. And I will be honest, even season 1 was very progressive, and they keep following up with this season, but it just doesn't work as well as season 1 in my books, because some of the dialogue, it's like, no. And I know it's in purpose, it's a parody, it's a satire, it's meant to be funny, but just no. Sometimes it just doesn't work. When you push it too far, sometimes your character stop being believable, your story stop being believable, and your dialogue is just growing tired. I don't know if that's something we can say, but that's really how I feel. It's all for the woke point. It's all for the woke fun, and sometimes it works, sometimes it's okay, but I feel like it damages a lot the content we are getting. Because I think season 1 was solid. That department, season 2 just doesn't feel as tight and as well written when it comes to dialogue. So that was my big issue with episode 3. And that's lurking around with episode 4, and we got a lot more issues. But yeah, let's get into the themes of the third episode. Theme of religion over government. That's very left-leaning ideology, and that's very entertaining. Divide within the Brotherhood was very cool. Maximus backstabbing a chance at a better future to help kids was kind of fun, and that's a turning point for Maximus as a character. It took on his destiny, as one can say. The child exploiter using kids for the factory was tragic. Funny Caesar village. Funny clash of ideas where the lead isn't taken seriously by clowns. Entertaining lore. Fallen hero finding the Civil War was kind of cool. The thought process behind helping the lead was funny. Maximus being manipulated to steal an artifact was fun. Nice action, nice music. The speech was entertaining. Fallen hero saving the lead was cool. Overall, this third episode had so much going on, so much thing we can enjoy. And again, I binge watched all of these 4 episodes like yesterday, and that was almost a 4-hour watch. Very good time. So overall, Fallout, the third episode of season 2, is one of the weakest, even when compared to season 1. I said it. And I will just keep continuing that trend with the 4th episode, because I remember the 4th being my least favorite. But again, that's for a future stream. And hopefully we have a dragon showing up soon. So for this 3rd episode, I will give a 9.7 out of 10. I think there's a lot of likes, a lot of good things, but it's just not the perfect product I'm getting used to with Fallout. Most of the episodes of Fallout are home run. They are very, very good episodes. This one is just lackluster. It's not as good. And again, it pushes the plot well, and it has really good moments in it, but it's not perfect. And Fallout is always that very high quality product. So when I see something like that, I'm disappointed. So we will cover a bit the wiki page. I know it's a bit in reverse. Usually I start with that, but here we are. So that's the wiki page of season 2. And the showrunner, we have Graham Warnier, Geneva Robertson. Draw at these names, folks. These names. And it's very interesting how the lineup of main character is at 6, and that's amazing. That's what we need. So we got Ella Purnell as the lead. I think she's a great actress. We got Aaron Moulton as Maximus, and he's second on the line. So maybe that's why he got so much screen time. Moses Arias. Oh yeah, that's the guy that's becoming like the leader of the people displaced in time. Francis Turner, I don't know her, I don't remember. Giles, oh, that's the dad. Cool. And Walton Sanders Goggin. I guess Walter is probably the guy that's the fallen hero. So I think this season will have 8 episodes, and yeah, I look at the lineup. There's so many characters, you know. Oh, we got a dragon that says ready. So the dragon is coming, folks, and maybe he will enlighten us. Maybe he will give us a unique take, a unique opinion. So we are waiting for the dragon to show up. Again, I'm looking forward for season 2. I think it's a great start, but it still feels like a downgrade. And impress me, season 2. Impress me. Be better. I know we can do it. I believe in you. So I think the biggest thing with season 1 is it was over the top, but it remained somewhat believable, and characters, they were stupid, but sometimes they would do smart things. And that's foreshadowing some of the things that will go wrong with the 4th episode eventually. So yeah, we are waiting for the dragon. A dead dragon. Overall, I think Fallout will remain one of these great adaptation of a video game out there. We don't have that many, to be honest. We lack these. We need more of these. And I'm glad we got Fallout. Fallout is a standout one, and we also had Until Dawn. That was a great movie last year. Dang, I already said last year. It's impressive how time flies. It goes by so fast. And the dragon says he's joining, but I don't see him. So we are still waiting about after the dragon. Um, and I think Fallout is the kind of TV show that should last for maybe 5 seasons. Because today we don't really reach these TV shows that last for 10 seasons now. It just doesn't happen anymore. So they should plan on a 5 season trip. Because if they exceed that, maybe it will drop in quality. Maybe it won't sustain itself. Maybe it won't be as good. Viewership, storyline, everything. TV is just becoming something you watch for 4 to 5 years if it's every year a season. It's just a new reality of TV shows. The days of having a show with 10 seasons are over. I think it's sad, but it's evolution, one can say. So yeah, I'm looking forward for season 3 and the rest of 2. Impress me season 2. And I don't know what's going on. Oh, there he is. After like I don't know how long. There is the dragon.
I was doing mine for 3 and 4, you sir.
Okay, well, we focus on 1, 2, 3 as of right now.
Yes, I told you before. You know what? Actually, I did 1 and 2 together, and then 3 and 4, only because of the everything that's in 1 and 2 Now, I will admit, if you take into account episodes are 15 minutes, no. See, I took a break because I just got done with mine. Like, one, if it's an introduction, this season of Fallout is following more of the. If you're familiar in the game, it is the courier's journey. The courier's journey or courier's route. Courier's route, it starts off with a premise. This is why I said I don't like reviewing one, two, and three together. You,
Well, this is what we are doing here.
I know. I'm just telling you why I don't like it because I didn't like to do it. Because I was doing it with screenshots, which that's going to take the story. Because half is storytelling. One and two go together. Three and four, three is the arc that introduces the NCR and Legion. So the problem itself, three and four starts the arc when we're going to get into Vegas. So three, if you take three canonically, three is what we were going to get before we get into Vegas. Because, granted, I have my nitpicks with four. Four is probably one of the worst episodes I've seen in nearly both out of 2 seasons.
That's
But
funny. I'm with you on that. I cannot wait to talk about for the next
no,
stream
you
we are
why?
having.
No, four is look. I had your moment with pacing. I did it on my stream. No, you. That gives me four gives me a mini brain aneurysm only because I play the game. Now, so you're reviewing one through three, and I'm going to have to condense it down enough, and it's very hard to cliff notes all 3 episodes. Episode 1 starts off with the man who knew everything. That is House. House in a bar. And if you forget the scene of episode 1, not episode 1, but season 1 in the boardroom, the thin version of House, which we know that version of House shows up later in the season. We think about episode 5 if we judge by the standards now. That's the thin version of House. The fatter faced version of House is the official version of House. Now, there is a theory of Anthony House is a thing. Anthony House is a deep lore. That's Robert House's brother. Because they think it's him, the fat version of him, fat faced is him because he knows of the H&H company. The H&H company was started by the brother while Robert House developed Robco, sorry. So, the idea is he had the black box. It goes from that to an update. I forget even the pacing at this point. But it goes from that to they start to acknowledge the vault plot with the water chip breaking, which I called in season 1. That is they have to send someone to fix it. But at the same time, they shove in Norm's plot. Norm's plot, he's been trapped in Vault 31, and he chooses to... Bud's program has always been the worst plot. I think it got deemed the dumbest plot of season 1. Because that's why I think that's going to be the low end of the totem pole. Because, yes, the season 1 ends with the idea Vault Tech might start the war, but that's not even the case, and even Todd Howard pushed back. He unthaws everyone in the vault, supposedly. Which is 10 people? The show has scale problems. I'm like, okay. But there's still other chambers that haven't been unthawed. You have Lucy's plot where she is trying to go over the golden rule with the ghoul. And
Yeah.
talking about, and what's funny is they released the episode on Christmas Day, or the second episode on Christmas Day. That's why there's the thing with the Dickens, but I'll get to that.
Which
But
is
they
also weird. They shouldn't be doing that because people wouldn't be watching.
actually no, that's in the second episode. That was actually, I don't know if that was intentional, by the way. That is in the second. But you also, in the first episode, you have the father. See, we all thought the Vault Tech building underneath the ground was under Vegas. But I don't think that's under Vegas. Judging what we know about Vegas, suspected it's not underneath there. But the idea, see, Vault 24 was introduced officially, but Vault 24 is cut content. Okay? Vault 24 was a mentioning cuts that you could get in Fallout New Vegas as an asset. It was a canceled. But they changed the Sunlight Drive-In to be from the drive-in where you go out to Big Mountain. Now, they're very on point with the locations in the show. Now, do they fuck with locations? Yes. They did it in season 1 by moving Shady Sands closer to Los Angeles, which should never
I think
been.
they do that to make it easier to build sets and to have continuity and to not really damage spacing that much. I think that's the best way to explain it.
Well, I think it was I call it a cinephile or director's choice because that's my problem with episode 4 is a placement of something because that makes no sense. And all you had to do.
That's for the next stream we are talking
Never
about
mind.
this.
But here's the thing: I say this: artistic license changes to try to keep a setting because it makes no sense because everything in the West Coast is still scarred by the Master's invasion, the Master and the Citadel. Now, that is also when it comes into episode 2 that I'll bring up about the Brotherhood chapters. There's a portion of the location for that one.
I really enjoy the Brotherhood, to be honest. I start being tired of the Vault people because I feel like they don't really evolve. That's the point of their characters, but like, I need something moving. Like, instead of comic relief, I don't see the point of them.
Okay, no, I can explain the idea of the Vault because the idea of the Vault plot it's in tied to Bud's program and what they think is Reclamation Day. That gets more complicated now with the revelations in episode 4, which I swear is going to be. Look, we haven't had.
4 was just not as great.
We don't have it. I'm waiting for the chalkboard moment. We had it in episode 3. Episode 3, we kind of had the chalkboard moment, but that moment I'll get when I get to it. Episode 1 is implying that. So Vault 24 found a way to miniaturize the black box technology. Now you have Hank go to the Vault Tech headquarters underneath the ground, which we don't know where it is. It's not in the vault. It's not in Vegas, New Vegas. It's around New Vegas, but it isn't in New Vegas. And he's starting and he cleans himself up. Now, arguably, episode 1 sets the stage because we know it's about House in the black box. And this isn't the first device. Now, I always think that the 3 volt system was always going to become the. I think it's going to become the new Great Khans. That is the idea that if you know the lore of Fallout, they're all going to get out of that vault and then go start. Because there was Philly was thought to be where the Vault Dweller used the Gek device and made the forest. If you didn't know that, Multi. That's the idea what Philly was in season 1. Now, arguably, that's been abandoned by the Brotherhood. Now, the thing about Area 51 that gets explained. So I'll go on to Episode 2. Episode 2 is the entire Brotherhood explanation we should have had. There is 12 chapters of the Brotherhood. It starts off Maximus Post. He's a hero, and he's going through with the ghouls. The ghouls are very good in aesthetic. And then they get to the dervish device control. So, in the previews of the trailer, we knew that was the dervish device. The dervish device was what kept the Mojave chapter hidden. Now, how they know about Area 51 being from Fernando Valley, we now have the official name of their chapter. They do that because they uncover it. And it is Area 51. But that is also more of the Easter egg episode because that confirms that's the first depiction officially outside of stuff of games. Universally, Zetas were real outside the Easter eggs they've all been in the games. But it's explaining the rules of the Brotherhood. Now, this is where the chink in the Brotherhood stuff happens. There's 4 chapters. Coronado, the Coronado chapter would be in San Diego Bay. That's in NCR territory. Canyon chapter would be in Grand Canyon. Grand Canyon is largely controlled by the Legion. They would not allow them to exist unless they left. Now, it is also answering the airship problem. They're getting a little bit better. Now they're just saying those airships existed long before the war. There's one of in the first episode, second episode. I guess that has allowed them. So I guess the Prid one wasn't special when they made it in Fallout 4. So the concept of the Brotherhood is there's chain of command, and apparently, since this is 2197, the furthest we have been. Now, personally, I think this is the test bed for Fallout 5. So they're saying the events of New Vegas has been about 10 years. So at least 10 years after Fallout 4. Which arguably puts it. So you have 4 chapters of the Brotherhood. Quintus's chapter, we knew they wanted a civil war to upstart the Commonwealth. They are the Order of Saint or Fernando. So Fernando Valley. Coronado, Canyon, and Yosemite. Yosemite would be. Now, the other 2 chapters arguably either moved or their home bases should not be around because either they're in Legion or NCR territory. But they all have their different rules. Quintus wants to use it for unlimited fusion cores to get advantage over the Commonwealth Brotherhood because he doesn't want to turn over the relic. Now, the irony here is, let's assume this is 2097, which would be the furthest. That means the Brotherhood ending is the canon ending to Fallout 4. Maxon has united the Outcast as well as the Commonwealth Brotherhood, potentially vanquished the Institute, but that is conflicted in Season 3 because they hint at a greater threat. We'll never find out until they revisit the East Coast. But the idea is the Brotherhood, this is the majority of the rules of the Brotherhood. The Brotherhood is establishing it. Now, the Brotherhood plot ends with a person wanting to fight a person from the Coronado chapter, because one of the Coronado chapters does not have women in it. Another one, I guess, have relations with technology or robots. But I can't imply... It's implied that potentially the Canyon chapter had a synth. Now, if you're confused by that, who else, what kind of robot would they have sex with? But there's the idea they didn't have synths out west, unless that's just creative licensing and storytelling. Now, the Ghoul plot does advance a little bit. Barbara's not a monster, because you have the Ghoul, but the hospital scene with the Rad Scorpions, that's the first time we see the Legion. Now, they're acknowledging that the Legion is from the West. That means Canyon territory. Grand Canyon is where the Legion would be from. And they made their way to Vegas within 10 years. But they had been there fighting the NCR. But we do not know how long it's been since the Ghoul was last west, last towards the east, towards New Vegas. This is what the thing implies. Now, arguably, there's a Legionnaire there. We know as viewers or players of the game, you shouldn't save them. But she chooses to save them. Now, there is a dumb plot point. If she knew she would be killed in episode 3, why did she go back? Nitpick that to half to death if you so wish. Episode 2 has the idea that the father's trying to miniaturize the technology, but it's also implying that the facility he is in has frozen people. But I forget the start of this episode. The start of this episode is very important. That's where I'll get to the part where it's never going to be mentioned again. I'm trying to go in order. Now, it deals with the first about 10 minutes of the episode is the official happenings of Shady Sands, which is extremely emotional because you see Max's parents. But that also implies Lucy's father went to house for a black box. And then the NCR soldier brought the bomb because he uses the line, patrolling the Mojave makes you wish for a nuclear winter. Now, this is the idea, I guess, whether or not the Maximus is tinted. You should leave the world better, slightly better than we found it. Now, the thing with the story on Shady Sands is somehow Hank left his vault, went to Vegas, talked to House. House gave him or found a way to get a black box, got a black box to work, and then the person brought the bomb that blew up Shady Sands. Now, that's an interesting plot thing because I don't think House, it was Hank that blew it up, not House. But he had House's help. But this is also coming on the heels of episode 1, where he begs, I'm going to continue your work. And then I will seek that promotion. And at the end, you'll be begging me to work with you. So the idea is either that's the Enclave or House he was talking to. But the only other plot point is, yeah, Lucy's going to go off and find the Legion, then come back for the Ghoul. I mean, the problem with Lucy's plot is she is too innocent and naive. She doesn't deflect to the Ghoul. Now, this is going to get contradicted down the series, I think, starting especially more if the trends in 4 stayed clear, because they're trying to get her moral compass to be shifted. But she hasn't had it fully, because she never asked the Ghoul why you don't help the one in tunics. It's just implied he keeps her safe. So, at the end of the episode, she gets captured. Xander Harkness arrives. Now you go to episode 3 as a profligate. Profligate is dealing with the Legion and the NCR. Now, this is coming on the heels of the second episode, which is Golden Rule. Golden Rule was do unto others as they do unto you. Lucy is brought to the main Kaiser's Legion camp. She tries to go, why would you use the Latin phrase Kaiser instead of say Caesar instead of Kaiser? Which Caesar's Legion or Kaiser's Legion, depending on how you say it, is actually designed on Roman tradition. That's how.
That segment was funny. I was.
Do you know why that's the case? Do you know why that's the case, though?
I don't know.
Let me explain it. See, I talk in ZZZ. They call Caesar, right? Because they have a character named Caesar and another character named Pompey.
Yeah,
I call her Kaiser because that's exactly how you're supposed to say it. You are the Caesar Legion tradition, or Kaiser's Legion. It's called Kaiser. They use both, but usually when we bastardize Latin, because the Legion was made after Roman Latin. So, it's funny, but at the same time, it's interesting because the Ghoul's greeting, because the way the Ghoul greets the Legion in the episode goes, I know the Ghoul is, the Legion is not a fan of the linear progression of time, soft C's in V, like the use of their V's. Now, that part is because there's also the part where Cooper Howard played in a film, Revenge to Brutus or whatever. Revenge of Brutus. If you ever caught that up poster on the wall, that is a film. Cooper
I
Howard was
didn't
in.
know. That's
That's actually
interesting.
in the wall of the games.
That
Now,
is interesting. I like that.
now the idea, the Legion, but we weren't sure what the Legion story was. This is when I've gone through my stuff, I'm just going to go by the parts because if they're going to skip around, that's what the later episodes, if anything in the indicator after 4 is going to be. I bunched this up into segments totally because if you watch the show, they'll skip around from one to another. Now, Lucy's thing ends where, because everyone was worried about Macaulay Culkin's character. Why is he clean cut in the apocalypse? He is supposed to be Lannius. The Legion values appearance and not looking like savages. The rest of the soldiers have face paint, but they're clean. And this was a big thing in the Twitter. They're like, well, post-apocalypse, it's like in episode 2. They said the Brotherhood wouldn't value cars. House said it best in New Vegas. The Brotherhood of Steel does not care about technology as much as you think. If they did, they would go to hospitals, raid the dock machines, and try the artificial organs. They prefer technology that puts people in hospitals. It's a little bit of the lore clashing with some of the normies discovering the show. The Legion itself also, they admit, rapes women. Sorry for the language.
That's very interesting.
Did
But
you know?
next time use other words. I didn't
So,
know that.
it's in the show. I should say realize the other. That's actually hinted at the end of the first episode, and right when they bring her up to the camp.
That
So
was interesting.
now the part with Legion is they are brutal, but they also there's a dialogue between Lannius right before she's crucified on the cross because she refuses the right to be bound to a legionnaire and assaulted. Have fun, prima noctis. It's a funny scene as well, but the idea is she refuses. But the idea is we don't crucify people. This is America. Now, this is where you talk about the morality, where they get the morality of the Legion correct.
Everyone is disgusting in that TV show, which is very interesting.
Well,
I like
no.
it.
Did you get the thing about why the Legion is the way it is? That part where Lucy talks to her, Lannius? He goes, America goes, this is America. We don't crucify people. No. Maps are drawn by the dead. And it's a symbol of America's failure. But she goes, well, I've seen 15 films. If you don't think you're the bad guy, you probably are the bad guy. He goes, some think we do evil, but the only value in history is strength. And she gives a Roman 2-finger salute right before having her crucified.
I thought that was actually very funny.
That's an actual...
That sequence was funny.
You know that's actual dialogue. There is a lot of little lore into that because the Legion only reflects strength. Because they are made out of the tribes that are conquered. Now, contrary to the great cons, which I guess established in this episode, at the end of Vegas, New Vegas, they supposedly went up to Wyoming. But apparently, they are a power base, but they're talked about, but they're not shown. Those were the ones in Novak. Now, there is something you're going to find glaringly obvious, and it's more obvious when you hit this episode with the NCR. We have come past the episode, which would be the highway, where the monument, a piece is, where the main NCR camp would be. There is no NCR to the movie theater that goes out to Big Mountain. Whether the people who did the show never realized this, there's no signs of NCR. We go to Novak, which is near Helios 1. Helios 1 is off in the distance. Helios 1 is empty. Helios 1 is where the NCR dealt the... It's arguably a cannon, by the way, a space weapon.
Yeah, and now I think it's the perfect moment to actually go into the third episode.
I'm in the third episode.
Oh, you're right. Oh, I
So,
didn't realize. Yeah.
We have not seen any NCR presence whatsoever. They have basically hinted that whether the writing or not has not... Now, I think it's writing error that they don't know how to write the NCR. Because if it was evidence from season 1, the NCR never went back to claim Shady Sands in any capacity. Shady Sands was the link between New Vegas and the other. Now, the first signs of it is the goal to rescue Lucy goes to Camp Gulf. Camp Gulf is near Prim, or not too far off. That's where the you see the episode with the roller coaster on top of the building. That was the end of the other one.
Oh, yeah.
That's Prim. That's where you pick up Eddie. Now, it's been abandoned and Victor is there. Now, this is dialogue to remember. Now, do I think this dialogue tells me, this kind of forewarns the Shadow what has happened in Vegas? They say House is gone, or House lost control. And Victor has been acting like he's a vending machine for 10 years. Now, it's implied the NCR left. The last bastion of the NCR establishes in episode 4 there's 3 members of the NCR left. Two Rangers, and I thought I counted 2 Rangers in this third episode, but I wasn't sure. Then the Sergeant. Now, they're in a camp near Good Springs. Now, he goes back to, gives the spiel and says, are you coming, or are you going to do whatever? Now, he goes off to the Legion to get back Lucy. He trades that information. Now, it's implied I'll be very honest. I thought the moral choice was he sold them out. But
Why? Why would you think so?
He's not a good character. He needed information to get Lucy out. But this is contradicted by the following episode. He has no loyalty to the NCR. And you need bargaining chip.
Yeah.
He did sell out their location. But the only reason the Legion didn't go after him, because the Legion, the fun fact about the Legion, why would the Legion have dynamite? People who play in New Vegas know. I bet they absorbed the Powder Gang. Powder Gang was in the prison. Now, here's the thing about that. He blows up the powder. This is at the end of the episode where he feels like he's doing something stupid. Now, this is either going to unite the Legion into a larger force that gets the NCR killed, or something worse. Now, what's the other? I have to go back. Let me look at my screenshots a second. And kind of, but there's a part to the actual episode 3 has. What's the other one plot? You also have right at the very end.
The conspiracy in the Brotherhood, where there's two factions of the Brotherhood that fight each other.
No. They are no. The brother, remember I said in episode 2, so in the past, there's a past plot that's very important. Barbara is going to pack the keepsake box for Janie, and she's crying. But he has to go to a veterans meeting for Charlie. Charlie is trying to convince him he has a mission to kill House. Now, in the bathroom, House talks to him. He goes, yeah, so you're here for the award for Charlie. Charlie's a bit of a pinko. Actually, that's when I pulled screenshots to review. And you are Cooper Howard, war hero, actor of the silver screen, and a bit of a pinko. See, Cooper Howard doesn't Now, what's fun fact about both those two actors, they're friends IRL, and they've worked together before. That's why their chemistry is so good. You're more of a film guy than I am, so you should appreciate a lot of the chemistry.
Yeah, that's true.
The guy who is, and House is explaining right in the mirror, he's talking about, he goes, I sympathize with the Pinko cause. They just don't like the solutions that everyone does. But there's a problem. Everyone is trying to rush to find a solution to solve the problems and everything going on. But there's also something they forget. If you back one body into a wall, that's maybe not as bad. What happens when you back billions of bodies into a wall?
Maybe revolt.
Well, do you know what that scene is about?
To be honest, I can't remember what scene you.
He's in the bathroom.
Man, I've seen all of these episodes like back to back, so my memory is not the best.
Hold on,
it's still like 4 hours, you know.
Okay, so you can kind of, let me get you in order. Hold on, let me borrow you. Like, this is where visual storytelling helps. Okay, these 3.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
This scene.
Okay, I see what you mean now.
So this one that's up here right now is when he is like, you get it now, right?
Yeah.
That scene. He's talking about what happens when you back a billion of bodies into a wall. House, under the idea, has been after cold fusion. Because you remember the conversation with Victor? Victor didn't you have something to do with cold fusion? Now, he has a look on his face where we don't know how cold fusion's going to play into New Vegas. We know House is still going to get frozen, but the power, that meant House was after both the Platinum chip and cold fusion. Now, the thing about it is, Charlie is trying to convince him through a story, it's like a veteran getting an award. That's how he winds up with the lighter. He's trying to convince him to kill House. But he also doesn't realize he had a conversation with House in the bathroom. Now, this is the question we don't know about House. Remember, as I said, House is introduced as the man who knows everything.
That's true.
And the thing is, some people think that's a body double. Some think that's his brother. The brother thing is not entirely out because there's two versions of House introduced so far. You have the House on the television from this version of House, if you want to bring it up. That version and the version of House that this version.
Maybe they are in the same lineage. Maybe it's father and son or some crap
No,
like
it would
that.
be either him or his brother. Because the thing is, we don't know if. The thing is, supposedly when he goes into the Lucky 38, there's a meeting because the House he meets with is the fatter faced one. And the one that greets him later in the season from the trailer that hasn't happened yet is the fatter faced one. Now, the funny thing about this is everything from the trailer's been playing out. So in episode 3 does have. Now, I will say I'm waiting for the chalkboard moment. I didn't go over it on my. So you have a split in the NCR because not NCR but Brotherhood. The Alliance falls apart because they don't want to go against the Commonwealth. That's the big deal. Now, did you get the scene? There's a very key scene where it's this. Let me see. This scene. There's a scene too that is actually shown. The sword. Basically, bring up the 3. I'll let you know the order to do it. This is in here. Because Xander does talk about here, and then that's why I like it, these scenes. So you have the Quintus talks first. That's at the end. Quintus says in the second one about the sword, if I wanted an opinion of the sword, a blunt opinion of the sword, I would ask. You know what that means?
No.
They can't kill Xander.
Oh, that's interesting.
Because he offers to kill Xander.
Oh,
but
that's cool.
It would start a war.
That they don't want a war.
Now you
but
already
I still
got
figure
the
it. But
that's
that's in the future. But yeah,
talking about give the relic to the Commonwealth, and the Commonwealth chapter is already thought to be the more powerful chapter. Now it ends after this. Xander takes him aside and leaves with him. I guess everyone saw it. And there's a line in the episode. And I'll be curious. It should have come up in 4, but that's going to be a plot hole that's never going to be solved regardless. They knew he left with Xander to go on the hunting trip. Now, Xander asked him to convince Quintus to give over the relic to stop the war. Now, he runs into Thaddeus in the sarsaparilla bottling plant using children and ghoul children to make money or get caps off stuff. The sarsaparilla plant. That's a location in game as well. Thaddeus is saved. He's not a ghoul. He's like Herbert, we believe. But we don't know what kind. He gets bashed in the head with the rocket sledgehammer. But what was guarding the plant was a Securitron. Now, this is one of the leading indicators that the Securitrons, something is up with Vegas. Vegas has been either compromised. My idea is I always thought they're going to go with the Yes Man ending, the unofficial, which is independent Vegas, which there's broken Securitrons. Now, the idea is that's pretty much how episode 3 ends. He's killed Xander and he reintroduces himself. Thaddeus, oh, how are you? Because that's awkward. Because Thaddeus was said not to be in season 3, but then he was shown on set. Now, the funny part about it is that's where that episode ends.
I think that was a great ending, and I will also add this
trailer what was going to happen.
I will also add this. It's funny.
But
how
that's because the trailers are telling him.
Dragon.
Now, if I have any criticisms of the show, so
it's kind of funny how you backstab the guy, and then the guy the ghoul master or the factory guy, he actually impersonated the guy that died. That was kind of funny. But yeah, go on.
Calls his daughter. Now, the thing about it is, that's in episode 1. We know that's going to come up later on. But, no, what was it? It was episode 3. Episode 2 or episode 3. When the father is doing human experiments now with the special people, not the Vault Tech people. He's finding out he doesn't value, why didn't you use your family? Because he was using it on mice. Now, the big thing is, if it's this about miniaturization, what's the point of the black boxes? Now, there is something we're going to find out a lot later on. I have a feeling. Because there's a voice from the trailer. We think it's the mutants. Now, this is just speculation on my part and a lot of the fan parts. If you've ever seen the trailer has a raspy voice. That is probably the mutants. You're going to need help, human. That's going to be implied if that is the Night Mutants from the Lodge.
Dragon, what would
but
be your...
bear in mind, that's pretty much episode 3 ends on the cliffhanger.
Do you hear me, Dragon?
With Xander being killed, and Maximus is going to have to find his way out.
Dragon,
now,
do you hear me? Dragon, do you hear me?
I think the weakness in the show is the skipping around. They needed to... I feel like if you're going to cover the vault... What is it? Guess I'm alone. Yes, somebody. Oh, I'm almost done anyways. But the idea is I'm finding cinematography problems. So I've had to correct it myself because, like, you see it in the next episode. What happened to you, Multi?
Do you hear me, Dragon?
Ah, but you get what I'm saying. That's
Do
pretty
you
much
hear
it.
me?
Like I went
That's what
through
I'm
episode
asking.
one
Do
through
you hear
three.
me?
Now I just got to wish to see what you think about it, because the cinematography and the timeline, the out of sequence stuff is going to start adding up. So again, I can go more into that. It's more problematic in episode 4. But that's pretty much episode 1 through 3. At least without going into more detail. But for Multi, you okay? I'm good. But again, I'm not going to say promote mine, but mine's more longer with pictures. Multi. Anyways. But the show has more details. But that's going to fall off as the season progresses. But as I said, most of the episodes are good, but I recommend people watch them. Because.
Do you hear me?
You good? Technical?
Do you hear me? Do you hear me?
Nothing?
Do you hear me?
You're mute? Anyways. Fallout is, as I said, I usually watch these episodes twice. 4, I just didn't get all the screenshots. I need to go back and do that myself, but I guess I'll vamp until. I think episode 1 through 3 have been good to me for a while, but we'll see how they progress. And I guess I'll hold down the fort until Multi gets back.
Do you hear me?
Nope.
You
Check
hear
your
me?
output or input.
That's
when
funny
streaming
because I
ends.
did. I did. It's Dragon issue. It's Dragon.
Mine?
Headset. Yeah, your headset. Yeah.
Why would mine have issues?
I can hear you, but so apparently you can't hear me. Ah,
Your
disaster,
audio is not
disaster.
going through.
Yes, it is. Fix your mic. Fix
Never
your
mind. My fault.
headset.
I bet the browser muted itself. My bad.
Do you hear me now?
Yes, apparently the tab got muted.
So that's why you were speaking over me for quite some time. Okay, now we got it solved.
Sorry.
So what? I missed parts of it because I thought that was my issue, but apparently it was yours. So what would be your grade out of 10 for the first 3 episodes we got this season?
I think it's, as I was saying that, I think it's mostly good. Like, I think it's going to fall off. I think they're all pretty much 8 out of 10s or 9 out of 10s.
Would you say it's better or worse than the 3rd season up to that point?
The first season?
Yeah.
I say first season NCR was the worst plot. The worst plot was the Brotherhood, but then again, the first season had the whole of the water ship.
Yeah.
So
Now, I guess, do you want to add anything else
no, I'm good.
on Fallout? So I will say, and I will repeat what I already mentioned. I feel like it's a downgrade from season 1. I don't think it's as good. I still enjoy it. I think the first 2 episodes were kind of solid. They were actually very good. but they are not as good as the first season. And I will also add this: episode 3 was a downgrade, and episode 4 kept that trend going on where it went downhill even more. And I'm still excited about the rest of the season, but now my expectations are set to a very, very low because 2 episodes in a row they let me down. And the first 2 episodes, again, I think are a great start. But if you have seen the first season review, you all have earned me praising that first season. I think that first season is one of the best season of a TV show on TV. So when you say like season 2 is not that great of a sequel, well, it's still fine because we got season 1. With that being said, do you want to add anything else on the first 3 episodes? I guess not. The dragon accepts
I
the
no,
fate.
sorry, I did the other. No, let me say, I do believe that episode 3. I'm sorry, like I guess when I switched out to get a picture, I accidentally muted the tab. Not intentional though. There's a thing in Firefox this happens, but the concept is 3 runs into the continuity issues with. I think the show is running into scale problems. They don't know what to do. The problem is if you're going, as I said, if episode 3 is establishing, we know the fate of everything except Bitter Springs. If Camp Gulf is abandoned, if Helios 1 is abandoned, there is nothing. Because if by the end of episode 4, just out of random, they showed Camp McCarran in the end of the end credit, that means every NCR base is abandoned. Either they don't know how to write it or they're going to leave it. I find there are lore inconsistencies. The problem itself is the cinematography. The thing is, they have out of sequence storytelling. That is what's going to catch the show up. Because the way I describe the show multi is I'm going in chunks and putting it together.
And
But
this is the teaser. So the next Fallout stream we will have will be once episode 6 drop, the Thursday following the 6th episode drop. We will be covering 4, 5, 6 because I think it's a great block. And once the final episode drop, we will review episode 7 and 8, and then we will have a full season discussion. Anyhow, with that being said, what do you have going on your end of the internet,
I
Dragon?
just have game streams. I usually do it 3 days a week. And then I caught up on my reviews of Fallout but I did the first 2, 3, and 4 to catch up. Then I'm going to do episodic because I say that I'm from here on out. I'm doing episodic because the thing is, it's going to be too much, and then I'll probably have a wrap up of the end of the year, the end of the season, because they're supposedly teasing something, but I don't think so. At the end, there's a countdown clock for something.
And apparently, they already renewed for season 3.
No,
Hopefully,
no,
they will know when to stop because some shows never know how to stop or
no,
when to
the
stop.
show's ratings are good. The look. The only
Yeah.
problem that I'm seeing with Fallout is the out of sequence stuff is going to start catching up because season 1 got better when you started condensing plots. You do have the A, B, and C plot. Don't introduce basically D, E, F into the equation without having a consistent A, B, and C. If the A is the father, B is probably the brotherhood, C is maybe something else, the vault, don't go into and pollute it. The problem itself is apparently one of the writer teams is going to branch out. And I have to talk to you. You need to go look into the writer of episode 4. Please do, because apparently, as I said on my own stream, she has a good lineage. And I do not know how she wrote that unless it was the director.
Interesting. And yeah, on my end of the internet, well, tomorrow we talk politics because we got a dictator arrested and the left losing its mind over it. Saturday, I do a big tier list of 2025 movies with a panel, probably only Grey Poop, and maybe, just maybe, we will have a Cole showing up at some point. And outside of that, well, gaming stream, I will keep playing Metroid Prime 4 Beyond. I think I'm about to maybe finish the game at some point because I got most of the keys. With that being said, no Fallout review next week, but stay around because again, once episode 6 drops, we will be reviewing 4, 5, and 6, and once episode 8 drops, we will review 7 and 8 and the entire season. With that being said, I talk about TV shows and movies most of the time on this channel, and we are out. Thank you for watching. Have a great one. Take care.